For Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Good Friday, no fooling. It's Friday, Grizz and Suns tonight with a whole lot of stars not going to play, at least on the Memphis side. Final Fours weekend, we're going to make some picks here in a little bit. It's the changing at the guard at the U of M. Dr. M. David Rudd, who did nothing short of a sensational job. I know there is the shadow of the IARP investigation and hearings still to be had, but when you weigh everything that Dr. Rudd has done for this university over his tenure, it is pretty darn impressive. And Bill Hargrave tweeted out today, "I'm honored and excited to officially begin serving as president of the University of Memphis. Go Tigers," he says. And we welcome him officially into the family. I think he's been here for a bit anyway. Looking around, poking, he takes over officially today. I think Dr. Rudd stays on another month and off on a sabbatical to Europe. He goes, he will come back and be a teacher. There's no question about just how good Dr. Rudd was. You're a student over there. You get that appreciation, I think, from the student side as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of people know, obviously, what he's done with athletics, football, basketball. Pretty much every sport has improved in his time there. But even just as a student life, the way the buildings have changed, the way the money that has been put into the buildings and the teaching quality and just everything, all around atmosphere of a student has been fantastic, honestly.
Just what I read the other day, in the 30s, as a graduate school now, the U of M is rated in the top 35 or below.
Yeah.
All schools in the country. So, and we know its designation now as a research school. It's pretty darn impressive. Oh, my. This news just breaking. Tiger Woods says he will play in the Masters after walking with Justin Thomas and with his son Charlie. It has been determined, he says, "I felt great the next day. I'm ready to go. I think I can win another green jacket." Tiger Woods. And that is April Fool's. Had you going there for a second.
You had me really going. I was looking at my phone. I thought you were serious. I didn't take you as a...
I honestly believe the dude can play.
I think he can, too.
I think... I have no idea what it was like after he played those 18 holes with his son and JT, and what it was like the next day, because that's the test, right? Can he go 4 rounds?
Yeah.
And a good point was made, I think it was by Scott Van Pelt. I was listening to his little bit on it. Every other major, if you were to take that spot and then you couldn't go, you'd really feel bad because that spot is somebody else's. At Augusta, it's an invitational.
That's true.
So he's not taking anybody's spot. If there's any major, he could say, "I'm going to try," and then not make it.
Yeah.
Withdraw after 14 holes, or after the first round, he just doesn't have it. Even in the third round, if he can't make it.
It's interesting.
He can say, "Well, I'm not, no one is getting hurt by this except me." And so this is the perfect stage for him to at least try. Unfortunately for him, Augusta is about as difficult a golf course to play than any in the country. I will tell you, I have walked Erin Hills. That is a hard golf course to walk.
Yeah.
To do that with U.S. Open conditions, whew, baby, that would be hard. But Augusta, as anybody who's been there, or you can now see with HDTV, the undulations and all the different cameras they use now, you do get a better sense of how steep these hills are. Like 9 used to be, if you looked at 9, you didn't quite understand how high up you were from the place where your first shot is to where you're going to hit your second to the green. It's way up with elevation. You got to walk that 4 times.
I didn't even realize how tough it was until we were talking about it the other day. And I looked it up, and they were saying the amount of calories you burn just walking that golf course is like more than running like a 5K or something. Like, it's insane.
I believe that. I do believe
That's wild.
Think about how fit some of these caddies are.
That's true.
How did Fluff Cowan do that? Like later on, when he was still Jim Furyk was still playing in the Masters, and Fluff Cowan was what in his mid-60s, and he's not like svelte. How did he do that? But he did it. Okay. Congratulations to him. Okay. We have to make we make our picks, and like I'm out of this. Jay Morgan has beaten me. We start a whole new thing, and I should point out with Augusta, and that's what I love. The turning of the seasons. We've got Monday, we got the Final Four. Then Thursday, we've got opening round at Augusta. It's every year. It's how many of us gauge our lives. Okay, so here we go. On Fridays, we make our picks. Monday, Ted Butler begins for the first time, so we'll be talking championship game, and we'll have TJ Reeves on, and then Ted Butler will come in. Rachel Heck, by the way, is playing in the women's championship at Augusta. Last year, she finished in a tie for second. So we'll see what she does. She's going to play for a couple more times because I don't know if anybody has been reading any stories about Rachel, the Memphian who's at Stanford now. She loves college golf. She wants to be like an ROTC person for all 4 years. And so she's not going to turn pro early. She's going to go. So she's only a sophomore. So she's got 3 more of these, this one and 2 more after this. So we'll keep our eye on what Rachel Heck does at Augusta. I was looking there was a story about that. There's the number 1 amateur in the world is another collegiate golfer, and I want to say she's at UCLA. Her name is Zhang. She had a bad day, and she was in the hunt last year. I can't remember, or I couldn't find, I should say, what Rachel Heck has done so far in this women's tournament. And, I think they play 3 rounds. The first 2 are at golf courses near Augusta, and then the final round, like on Friday, maybe Saturday, is when they play that final round at Augusta National. If you make the cut, and did you get any scores on her? I know you're looking.
I'm looking right now. I have the other golfer. Her name is Rose Zhang.
Yeah,
and she does go to UCLA. I'm trying to look for the scores right now. I haven't been able to find those yet.
We'll get to that in a bit. Anyway, so Ted will be in on Monday. We'll talk about Augusta National. We'll talk about Rachel Heck and all that other good stuff. And then on Wednesday, new group, because obviously I'm no longer in the sports time grouping, which I had dominated.
Well,
I kind of suffered the last year. I had a bad year. But, I mean, when it was Drew.
The group of producers, we took both of y'all down.
Oh, first of all, that was 1 year. You're just talking 1 year because Drew, until you took it over, Drew was in last place, which was his perennial spot. I hope he's much better in Little Rock or in Northwest Arkansas, excuse me, because just abysmal. But anyway, I start with the new group, and it'll be fun. Mickey Barker's going to be with us. Johnny Lyon from the old Mid-South Golfer will be with us. And J-Mo and myself will be making picks. That will start next Wednesday. So, because we make picks in this slot, it is time for us to make some picks for the Final Four. And, Bryant, because we believe in Title IX, this is, I believe, the 50th anniversary.
Oh, is it really?
I think so. 72. I'm pretty sure that's correct. 50th anniversary of Title IX. We should point out Kim Mulkey, who went from Baylor to LSU. You think she was worth the money because they're paying her like $2 million a year?
Paying her a lot.
Did you see what she did?
I did not.
Well, she was named Coach of the Year this year. 3rd time she's won the award. But do you know what LSU was before she got there last year?
They weren't very good.
They were 9-13.
Wow.
You know what they were this year?
I know they made the tournament.
26-6.
Wow.
That is why she is Coach of the Year. She took those players, added a couple, coached them up,
That's
and
a good coach right
I mean,
there.
that is incredible. Yeah. She did the same thing, by the way, at Baylor. They were bad when she got there and turned them around that quickly. Aaliyah Boston, the post player who's a double-double machine at South Carolina, she was the Player of the Year. So in honor of Title IX, and we believe in balance on this show, we will make our women's picks in the Final Four. So it's UConn, the only 2 seed in the group, against Stanford, a 1 seed, with the winningest coach, Vanderveer. at Stanford against her. And I think this isn't quite as edgy with Gino Auriemma as it was with Pat Summitt, but it's a bit edgy. I mean, I don't think they love each other. I think Stanford is the better team. I know UConn's got Beckers. I think Stanford wins. South Carolina, with Dawn Staley as their coach, is the number 1 overall seed. They are really, really good. The defending champions. I think they win 2 in a row. I think that South Carolina will beat Louisville.
So you say you have Stanford and then South Carolina?
Yes.
Okay.
And then in that championship game, I'll let you know, I think South Carolina is going to be the winner.
I'm also going to go South Carolina. But on the other side, I have morals, and one of my morals is I will not bet against Gino. Doesn't matter. He's just proven it to me time and time again. There's several on the men's side, but he's the only one on the women's side. So I'm taking UConn.
So you got UConn and you've got South Carolina.
I do.
And then in the championship game?
South Carolina.
Okay, so we both agree on the champion. All right. So now on the men's side, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is hard. Mm-hmm. Now we got lines here, so the lines do matter.
Okay.
Just so you know. Duke is a 4-point favorite against North Carolina. North Carolina, the highest remaining seed in this tournament. North Carolina, I think, has really come together. Hubert Davis has done a heck of a job in replacing Roy Williams. North Carolina is huge. They're big. They have good guards. They've got everything. The one thing, and I love Mike DeCourcy likes to go, look to see about NBA prospects. You got to have at least one to win a national title. You got to have a guy who's going to be a rotation player in the NBA. We know Duke's got like 3 of them. Banchero's going to be a star. I don't think there's any question about that. Is the kid that transferred, Mackin? Is he an NBA guy? He might be. The big kid in the middle, is he? I think he might be. I don't know that it's as defined, but I know I'm getting 4 points, and this is a great rivalry. Oh, and by the way, the last time they played in Cameron, it was embarrassing for Coach K. Now, everybody is thinking this is going to be a Hollywood ending, that Coach K is going to be just like John Wooden. He's going to win in his final game and cut down the nets with a national championship for his goodbye. I don't think that's going to happen. I think North Carolina is going to win straight up. I feel really good about the 4 points. I am going to go against the trends. I am going to go Tar Heel Blue. I like the heels.
This one was tough. I think I'm going to go on the other side of you. I'm going to take Duke. I'm going to take a minus the 4. I just think after what happened in Cameron Indoor, that last game. Also, I think Duke this year has been caught up in all of the finale, the last hurrah for Coach K. I think they have something to play for this game. I think they got embarrassed against North Carolina. I think they'll want that payback. I've seen some bulletin board material come out the past couple of days from North Carolina. I'm going to take Duke. I think it's going to be not a blowout, but I think they win comfortably.
So you think embarrassment as a motivator is stronger than confidence of knowing you beat the heck out of a team in their own ballpark on a night that was supposed to be a farewell? Because this is the same sort of
that's
situation.
True, but Duke did. The same thing happened in the first game. Duke blew out North Carolina in the first meeting, so this will be the third meeting, which makes this game even harder to pick because both teams have been blown out in this series this year. I don't know.
North Carolina's coming together at the end.
They're coming together. They're a good ball club through the tournament. I'm just going to go with Duke.
I hear you. I think the hoopla is going to be even bigger here. If you think the Cameron Indoor was, pressure-packed or distracting or whatever you want to say it was, It's going to be even bigger here. They're all talking rivalries. A big story today, about the great conference rivalries that ended up being in the Final Four, including the last undefeated team, Indiana. In the end, the team they beat to be champions and remain undefeated was against Michigan in a Big Ten final. There have been several of those. Of course, this is not a final, but it's the very first time that Duke and North Carolina meet each other in the NCAAs and in the Final Four, so that is kind of cool. The other is Kansas, a 4.5-point favorite over Villanova with Justin Moore down, and Kansas coming together. And they've got a couple of pros on that team. You got to believe Kansas is going to win this game. I'll take. I'll give away the 4.5 to Jay Wright and to Villanova. I think there's enough firepower with Kansas to win this game. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love for Jay Wright to win this game.
Me too.
I would love for Villanova to knock off Bill Self. Bill Self, who has absolutely gotten away with murder, cheating.
Yeah.
Bill Self, who's a great coach. I don't take anything away from his coaching. When you got him on tape saying the stuff that he did, and, here's Kansas. Kansas gives him a contract extension and says, even if you've got NCAA violations, you're our man.
Keep doing your thing.
And that's pretty impressive. That's pretty amazing. But anyway, I would love for Villanova to win, but I think Kansas just has too much firepower, and there's no denying. We got 4 great coaches here.
Oh, yeah.
And the one thing to remember is all 4 have coached in a Final Four. The only guy that didn't do it as a head coach is Hubert Davis, but he was an assistant with Roy Williams just a couple of years ago. So he knows absolutely what you got to do. There is no unfamiliarity here. There's no stranger to these pressures or to the procedures. They all know what's going on, and that makes it even better.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun Final Four. I'll take Nova plus the 4.5. I think they have enough 3-point shooting. If the shots are falling, I think they're able to stick in this game. But ultimately, I think Kansas, just because of how short that rotation is going to be for Villanova. I think Kansas.
All right, wow. So we're the opposite way. Now you won't be here Monday. I'm going to make my pick on Monday.
Okay.
It's really kind of unfair to make you make that pick now, but I'll do that anyway.
Yeah, I'll make it. It's going to be the same today as it is Monday. Give me the storybook ending. I'll take Duke.
You want Coach K. Okay.
Also, I'm a little biased for Paulo, so.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
He's great.
There is no question about it. This portion of the show is brought to you by Family Leisure. If you're looking for a new job, they got them at Family Leisure. I promise you, swimming pools, hot tubs, patio furniture, every one of those departments needs a salesperson. Chemicals, sales associate. That's available. Parts and service department associates. Technical guys, service technicians, if you've got a driver's license, they're looking for you. Also, they're going to be looking for installation crews for above-ground pools a little bit later in the spring. If you're looking for a new career path and it's good paying, please call 901-371-9090. That's the number for a new future for you at Family Leisure. And this portion of the show also brought to you by the good folks at the Spirit Shop. You know where that is. It's time to load up for the weekend. We got so many things going on here with Final Fours, golf on TV. You've got actually baseball in the spring. It's on TV. You got everything. If you're looking to load up, you got to go to the Spirit Shop and see my friend Eddie Connor. I actually did that yesterday. Went to see those guys. We've got this one particular white wine my wife loves. It's a Cabernet, not a Cabernet. It's a Chardonnay. Excuse me, and perfect for spring and summer drinking. Harkin, reasonably priced, made by the people who make Rombauer, and we go crazy for this. And I had to stock up there. There's so much choice. I actually saw a $2,300 Chateau Lafite that he had yesterday. It's sitting out there. It's crazy. And the other thing is, he's got some really old bottles of wine in that facility, and it's that little log cabin right there at Poplar and St. Nick. You've seen it. You've passed it a million times. He's got so much stuff in there. But if you go to the bottom of a bin, you might find a 1998 bottle of wine. It's priced like it was in 98. He doesn't charge you the up price. It's like you're investing. It's crazy. Go see my friends, Eddie Connor at the Spirit Shop. One last thing. So if you were expecting to see the Suns and the Grizzlies tonight, you will see the Suns because they apparently are playing everybody. Chris Paul's just coming back. He's trying to get his legs under him for the playoffs. But you will not see tonight, for sure, no Ja, no Tilly. They're out. Doubtful, and I doubt they'll play. Vane, Triple J, Tyus Jones, Steven Adams. They're doubtful. So you're talking about the Grizzlies are going to put out one starter tonight. Dylan Brooks. That's it.
Maybe the Suns versus the Hustle.
Exactly. Eve Pons is maybe – I don't know.
Oh, I'd love to see Eve Pons out there.
Pons is going to go. He'll be the star of this game tonight. Who knows? The way the Grizzlies are, watch.
Probably still win.
He'll score 40. It'd be crazy. Anyway, that is the way it's going to go today. It is. We're getting down there. Grizzlies have to win 3 of 5 in order to break the record. But if they're going to play only these guys, it's going to be hard to win 3 of 5. We do remind you our title sponsors, Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. That is the place where they pledge they will never, and they're serious, they will never charge you more than sticker price. Not every dealership in Memphis can make that statement. They understand the law of supply and demand, and they are taking advantage. That will not happen at Craft Road and Highway 78. So you get on Lamar, you'll go in there, you go to the first exit, Mississippi, turn left, go see at Craft Road. Go see Chris True, and he's the one I think has raised the bar, set the standard for the way car business should be done, and he's the guy that pledges you'll never pay more than sticker price at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We are back in just a minute. Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. We'll talk transfers. Always written a thing about turnstile count. We'll get into that in just a bit, too, as you listen to Wolo and Friends.
You have opinions?
What do you hear? What do you say?
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Looking for some action? Sports gambling is legal in Tennessee. Action247.com. Local, legal. A sportsbook by Tennesseans, for Tennesseans. Go to Action247.com. Register and place your bets. Are you a sharp or a first-time bettor? Action 24/7 has you covered. Visit us online at Action247.com. Local, legal. Action 24/7. You got action.
Problem gambling? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, you! Ever wanted to learn a language like French or Spanish or even Norwegian, but thought it'd be too difficult or time-consuming? Then try Babbel. Quick 10-minute lessons.
Siesta.
Bambola. Games, podcasts, even live online classes with a real teacher.
Hola, clase.
In no time, chatting about real-life topics will feel, well, effortless. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
You hear somebody yelling 4 on the golf course, which I'm going to be this afternoon at Miramichi. Looking forward to seeing the folks out there. You can bet that 4 came from Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, who just hit into your group on the course. He's known as the worst golfer in town. He's also known as Mr. Three Putt, Mr. Double Bogey, Mr. Separate Checks. What a guy. He doesn't spend his time perfecting his golf game. He spends his time representing his clients and selling their homes for the best prices. His strategic marketing program, that's the key. It's so successful. People say when you want the job done, you call Sheldon. He's the only agent in town to tell you need to interview 2 or 3 real estate brokers before you put your home on the market. Just talk to him. Make sure he's one of them. He'll guide you to really get the best price that you could get. Remember, you got to get to the bottom line. He's the one that gets there. He's the guy. When you want the job done, you call Sheldon. That's 483-0546 or at memphisrelocate.com. Sheldon with Marks Bensdorf. Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal thought he was going to have an easy spring after the NCAAs. He's wrong, but you're finding out all kinds of different things. Like you reached out. I don't know if you got the scan count from the Grizz because, it's all part of the deal, and the Grizz pay the University of Memphis based on ticket count or people in the house, I guess I should say. And they got some money, the Tigers, but not full payment. Is that correct, Jason Munns? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm finding out all kinds of things. I found out that your normal producer's not in today, so that threw me off a little bit, hearing Bryant's voice. But
well, we're trying to fool you. We throw curveballs all the. It's April Fool's, for goodness sake. So don't lie to me now. I already lied once. I said Tiger Woods was playing in Augusta.
No, I should have been. I should be ready for curveballs by now after the last couple of weeks. But yeah. We reported. I reported yesterday that every year University of Memphis, they've got a deal with the Grizzlies that as part of their lease agreement that if they average anywhere between 6,000 and 10,000 butts in the seats, so to speak, tickets used, the turnstile count, if it's anywhere between 6,000 and 10,000 over the course of 17 or more home games in a given season, they get a certain amount of money. If they go over 10,000, it's $800,000 that they get in their pocket just because they, got that many. But there's a percentage that they get that's proportionate to the number of, to whatever the average is. So Memphis's average was 64.83, I believe it was, for this past season. And again, that's tickets used, not tickets sold.
Right. Tickets sold were a surprising number to me. Season tickets were 8,370. And I always thought it was around 12 or 13,000. So I was surprised at that number. I'm looking, the best attended game was the last game. That was nearly 10,000. They never got over 10,000. 9,953. They had 95-18 for Alabama. That was number 2. It's interesting. The third most watched game for some reason must have been a Saturday night toward the end of the year. UCF was in town, and they had 8,351.
If you'll remember, that was the ice storm come in from the cold game.
Oh, okay.
So that was when Memphis sort of opened the doors and gave people a chance to come in while power was, out for most of the area. That was that game. But I'm looking at it now. The turnstile average for the 17 home games, which includes the 2 exhibition games, that's included in this.
Which they drew an average of 4,000 fans, right?
Yes, right at 4,000. And so anyway, it was 64.83, and you're right. The number of season tickets sold was 8,370, but the average announced attendance, which is overall tickets sold per game, was 13,685.
Wow. So you have 8,370, but with other walk-up tickets, you add 5,000. So, but that's not in the house; those are tickets sold.
Correct.
I know so Memphis is about 60, what'd you say, 63, 6,500 with actual turnstile count attendance for the 17 games. Is that what you said?
Yep, just south of 6,500.
Okay, we'll say 6,500. I know a couple of vendors that are Grizzlies vendors too, and they have to get an honest count because they have to know what to supply, right?
Yeah,
and the Grizzlies ticket count, and they don't have to acknowledge that, right? They don't have to give you that scan count. The Tigers do because that's their business deal with the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies don't have to. But they give the vendors the count because, again, they have to supply that event. And I think the Grizzlies' average crowd, and there's been some great ones, but it's about 8,500. So it's a couple grand more than the University of Memphis. That's reversed in the last few years. This is a great team, let's face it, and that's part of the reason why. And their schedule is NBA all the time. Part of Memphis's problem is not a great schedule. But we like to call ourselves Hoop City, and I do think there is a passion for sure. But if you really look at those actual numbers, 8,500 for the Grizz, 6,500 for the Tigers, some of this could still be pandemic related, where people are not still coming out like they used to pre-March of 2019, or 20. But those numbers are like eye-opening.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. So, this agreement that Memphis entered into with the Grizzlies is 18 years old. And when they signed it, it was for 20 years.
Right.
So we are coming up on that deal expiring, and a lot has changed in 18 years. People in person, the way people digest sports has changed dramatically over the last 18 years. And so, you're just simply not getting as many people in the stands, not just because of the pandemic, but just because, there's social media now, and almost every single Tigers game is on TV, and you've got streaming, and you've got all this other stuff. You've got ways to digest, So anyway, the point is, I would be floored if before this deal expires, that when they redo the deal, when they renegotiate it, that the numbers aren't adjusted. Like, Memphis has only missed out. The only way Memphis misses out on this payment from the Grizzlies is if they fall below 6,000, an average of 6,000 turnstile count. That's only happened once in the life of this deal, with the exception of last season when no fans were when no fans were allowed. So I have a feeling that some of these benchmarks are going to get adjusted, just because, again, it's changed the way, the landscape of the way people digest their sporting events and athletics and stuff has changed so dramatically. The other part is that it's my understanding that roughly 45 to 50% of FedEx Forum's capacity is in the upper ring, the terrace level.
True.
So people, I noticed when we put these numbers in the story out there, a lot of people were like, there's no way. You look at the Houston game, there's no way there were fewer than 10,000 people. There's no way the building was, 52% full, or whatever that number works out to be. But, again, half the building capacity is up at the very, very tip top. And so
it's more. I believe if you look, I'm not 100% certain, but I think I'm close. I think the lower bowl itself is 5,000. The club level is 3,000. So the really good seats, there's only 8,000 of them. And then the terrace level, the upper deck, is 10,000. So 8 of your 10,000 are good seats. Maybe there's a couple of thousand good seats at the terrace level. I don't understand the way it was designed, personally. I think it should have been reversed. I think you would have had at least 10 to 12 that were lower level. Now, some of the way this was designed was to incorporate 2 different levels of suites, because that's extra revenue. And so that comes into play when any new building is built now. But I'm with you. I do not love the way that was designed because there are an abundance of bad seats. As good as the lower bowl is and the club level is, the rest are not so good. And you end up, if you go, and I've done this, I've sat at the top of that building, and you know what you end up doing? You end up looking at the game on the Jumbotron instead of watching the floor.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough to get convince people to come out and watch a game that way, especially when, again, it's so accessible either on your computer or on the regular TV. And so I think I would be very, very surprised if when they sit down to renegotiate this deal that they don't move the goalposts in a little bit.
Well, keep in mind this, Jason. This is my suspicion. The city still owns FedEx Forum, and they're going to be involved in negotiations with the Grizzlies. Robert Parra is now worth $15 billion, as we found out a couple of days ago from ESPN and Brian Windhorst, and a very good story. And they're really on a big uptick, and you would think they would be generous. And you have to understand that the Memphis tie-in with civic buildings, which is why they deserve the break here, goes back to them putting up a good percentage of the funding when they could have built an on-campus arena. They went and put a lot of their reserve funds, and they were awash with money at that time. They gave, I think it was $12 million, 20% of the money to build the pyramid. So there is a civic debt to the University of Memphis in terms of lease deals on civic buildings. In my estimation, I think that is still there, and we'll see how it all plays out. But you're right, we got 2 years to try and figure that one out. In the meantime, no transfers the last 2 days that I've seen from the U of M. Do you expect any over the weekend?
I think there will be more, yes, and I think it could happen really at any time. I don't know if it's going to happen over the weekend. I think that the Final Four is I think all coaches go to the Final Four, and so you may see this take a little bit stretch out a little while longer. But again, it could happen at any time. The exit meetings have taken place. It's my understanding everybody's met with Penny Hardaway at some point this week, and you saw, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday, that Earl Timberlake, John Camden, and Sam Onu put their names in the transfer portal. Last week Josh Minot declared for the NBA draft. Jalen Duren will obviously declare at some point. That's more or less a formality. And so that'll happen. But then, I expect there to be more players who transfer. It's just a matter of.
So be bold. Who's going? Who do you think will be the next one or two?
The next one or two? I would say that Imani Bates is, that would be my gut for the next one. I do think Landers Nolly is going to be gone. I think he's going to.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think he's, but see, you may see his stretch out a little while longer than others because he has to graduate first. I think he's in line to do so, but that's not going to become official until May.
Since you bring that up, the most baffling one to me is Earl Timberlake, because
a little bit, yeah.
He hasn't graduated. He's already used the one free transfer. He's going to be 22 at the start of the next basketball season. If he does indeed transfer, he has to sit out a year because he's not a grad student. He would have to wait until he's 23 to play college basketball again. He would be older at that point as a sophomore in college than 80% of the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I spoke with his uncle, to kind of ask him about to see what information I could get out of him about Earl's decision to transfer, and he said that there was no specific reason. His direct quote was, "It just didn't work out between Earl and Memphis," and so I didn't get a chance to, I asked him, about that very thing, about what they were thinking in terms of eligibility and timing of eligibility and all that stuff, and did not get a response on that. But it happens all the time. Guys transfer and they get like a hardship waiver of some kind. If they're moving to be close to a sick relative or something of that nature.
I guess they'd have to go to Georgetown or Maryland for that to happen, right?
Well, or Virginia Tech, or somewhere up in that neck of the woods. It could happen that he would be eligible to play right away. But you're right. If he doesn't get that, if he goes somewhere, the NCAA determines that he's not, that he hasn't met the threshold for a hardship waiver, then he's going to have to sit.
Jason Munz, as always, we appreciate it. I'm sure there will be some new news, because there always is on this front next Friday when we talk. Thank you, my friend.
Enjoy your afternoon.
I shall, I promise. That is Jason Munz, the terrific beat writer of the Tigers for the Commercial Appeal. He's brought to you by the good folks at Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the tune-up. 384-3511, that's the magic number. Call that number twice a year. Once in the winter, when you want to make sure your heat is efficient and safe, they do a carbon monoxide test. They take this camera and they go through the whole thing to make sure you're safe. Then they tune you up. 16 points inside, and they clean the dirt and the grime and the leaves outside. Now, in the spring, like right now, 384-3511, $69. They will check your Freon levels. If you're a little short, they'll put it in there. Then they make sure your system is efficient for air conditioning, so your house is cool. And you need a cool house when it gets hot this summer, I can tell you that. And with this, you save money on your MLGW bill because your system is efficient, and an efficient system lasts longer than one that isn't. So many reasons for you to call Conway, 384-3511. Back in just a minute, NBA with Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago. He comes your way next.
You have opinions?
The knowledge that I have matters.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
For years, I have talked to you about James Davis, the finest men's store in all of Memphis, the service, the selection, everything that goes with quality. And I've told you recently about the Stant Perfect Fit shirts. Well, now there's the Stant Perfect Fit pants. Absolutely amazing. Only 2 measurements fed into a computer, and all of a sudden, you've got the perfect fit pants. And I'm talking everywhere. The leg, the seat, the bottom, all made to fit your body absolutely perfectly. And there's 80 different fabrics to choose from. You will find the right look, the right fit, almost instantaneously. They start at $162, but you will never find a better pair of pants than these at James Davis Men's Store. And the shirts are still there, and guess what? It's the only place in Memphis that you can find Stant. That's the James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
Hey you. Ever wanted to learn a new language, like French or Spanish, or even Norwegian, but thought it'd be too difficult or time-consuming? If so, it's time to try Babbel. Babbel lets you customize how and when you learn. Quick 10-minute lessons on words,
Siesta.
Bambola, phrases and grammar,
Last en kaffe.
to games that keep it exciting. Listen to podcasts on the go or take live online classes with a real teacher.
Hola clase, ¿cómo están?
It's really up to you. In no time, chatting about real-life topics will feel, well, effortless. Go ahead, see where Babbel takes you.
Ah, Paris.
More ways to explore, more ways to learn. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Let's say you need a new car, so you go to a dealer, right? Wrong. You need to go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales. Why? Because why limit yourself to just one kind of car when you can choose from all kinds of cars, SUVs, and trucks? All different years, all different makes, all different models. Really good prices, too. Now, everyone says that about the money, but Mount Moriah Auto Sales proves it. They work hard to get you the deal you want, even financing. Plus, they have a huge full-service department to help you take care of your car. So many choices at Mount Moriah Auto Sales. They're almost unlimited, with new vehicles coming in every day. Now, these are really good cars and trucks and SUVs that you'll want to drive. And yes, low miles too. It's so easy. Just go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales, tell them what you want, but keep your eyes open because you might just find the car of your dreams. Mount Moriah Auto Sales makes it all possible. Go to MountMoriahAutoSales.com. Mount Moriah Auto Sales, right on the corner, right on the price, right on Mount Moriah.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
This has to be a April Fool's tweet from Kevin Durant. Have you seen this?
I've not.
He says he thinks Oklahoma City should retire his jersey, and so should Golden State.
I mean, that's hard to decide.
Got to be April Fools. We're not fooling around, though. We got a Chicago from Priority Sports, our agent, Andy Schiffman. How are you this morning, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
If you were OKC, would you retire Kevin Durant's jersey?
I mean, it's not an awful idea. Probably not. But, hey, I mean, he kind of put him on the map, right, when they moved from Seattle and brought him with him.
What about Golden State? He won an NBA championship there, and he was a NBA MVP. He was the Finals MVP.
No, wasn't there long enough. Wouldn't do it.
I'm with you there.
Would not do it, Golden State.
I might consider OKC, especially if he said I'm gonna move there when I retire or something like that. I don't think those are in his plans, but we shall see. All right, so we are now embarking upon the playoffs. You, by the way, picked it. You said Memphis would end up in the number 2 seed, and they are. So many people will tell you that young teams have to get scar tissue or playoff experience in their DNA, however you want to put it. And so I want to ask you a little bit about the differences between, in your eyes, in your players' eyes, the regular season and the playoffs. And I will remind you, I mean, this regular season down the stretch here has been crazy, with so much load management, nights off and injury off. And we've seen in the last couple of weeks, I don't know how many 50-point performances, one 60-point performance. Somebody scored 150 points on Orlando in a regular season game. This wasn't an all-star game. 150 points. That stuff's not going to happen in the playoffs.
No, we're not going to see these offensive explosions that you've seen because every possession matters in the playoffs. I think from knowing how the NBA works and talking to a lot of my players, and you just visually see it, everyone is locked in for the playoffs. There's no, okay, it's a 10-point game with 2 minutes left, let's clear the benches. You're playing down till the buzzer sounds, until the last possession, and you're not taking any plays off, possessions off. You want to make sure your stars are at their absolute best, that your pivotal role players are at their absolute best. Everyone is on the same page. And so if you have to rest a Ja Morant for a couple extra games to make sure he's 110% for the playoffs, then you're going to do that.
Physically, how different is it, too? I mean, I'm talking about banging and slower whistles, that kind of thing, and also play into the experience level. I mean, do you think young teams have to be around a year or two in the mix before they're really ready to win a championship?
I think to win the championship, yes. But I think just to have some success in the playoffs, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you can have a young core that maybe only has been playing together for a couple of seasons, and they can go far in the playoffs. You saw that in the bubble with Denver, I guess it was last year, 2 years ago, really, with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray.
Right.
Obviously with Dallas going far, with Luka. And you got to keep in mind, it seems like we've been watching these guys for years, but these are, at that 2 years ago, these Jamal Murray and Luka and Jokic not so much so maybe, but they were budding stars at that point in time. And now they're obviously household names. Donovan Mitchell with Utah, obviously. And these aren't the Bulls of the 90s where you had Rodman, Pippen, and Jordan playing together for 5 or 6 seasons together, and or Duncan and Robinson with San Antonio. And so, again, I do think talking about an NBA championship, you kind of have to be battle-tested. I think that is why you saw the success Milwaukee had when they came back and to beat Phoenix last year. You've had a core of Middleton and Giannis playing together for a number of years at that point. And look, if we're talking about the Grizzlies, which obviously I want to bring it back to Memphis, I think they're ready to do that. I think you've had enough experience now in Ja Morant. They are such a good defensive team. I think to win a championship, you have to be an elite-level defensive team. And you can see it when you're watching. But also, I've had so many players around the league that I represent tell me, man, Memphis is so tough on the defensive end. They're so locked in. They have they make a lot of good adjustments. They're so well coached. With or without Ja on the floor, obviously you want to be able to have Ja in the playoffs. But you've seen the success the Grizzlies can have without Ja. And I think it really starts on the defensive end, because everyone from obviously Jaren Jackson, who I think is going to be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, whether or not he gets it, I don't know. Just players coming off the bench, Desmond Bain, as a starter, but guys coming off the bench like Brandon Clark, just locked in defensively, and everyone's on the same page. And I think the number one thing, in teams that have had success in the playoffs, there's no ego. It doesn't matter who's on the team, there's no ego, and there's a really strong team culture, and the Grizzlies have that.
So if the playoffs started tomorrow, the play-in game would be the Clippers and Minnesota, the winner facing Memphis. Those two teams, Paul George is back. I don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi or the Timberwolves, who've given Memphis a lot of trouble, but they're a young team too. I'd rather play them. But are you sure Memphis is going to win a first round, let alone, on their way to a Western Conference final?
Look, you can never say anything is a sure thing in this sport, right? We've seen eights take over ones. Didn't the Grizzlies do that years ago? I think they were the 8th seed and they beat the Spurs and took them down to the wire years ago. I said this the other day. Minnesota, to your point, Dave, that's the one team that I don't want to face in the first round of the playoffs. I would rather see a Grizzlies team play the Clippers, even with Paul George back. Minnesota is very deep. Anthony Edwards, your guy, Karl Anthony Towns, Malik Beasley. They've got a lot of talent, and they are a very dangerous team. And any one of those guys is capable, especially Edwards and Karl Anthony, going off for 30, 40 points on any given night. I think they're a dangerous team. Not to say that I would pick them over a Grizzlies team in the first round, but I would not look at that matchup and think it's a sure thing the Grizzlies are going to win, or even that it's going to be a sweep. I think that could really go the full 12 rounds. We're talking boxing, so to speak, because I think that could be a battle. I would be scared of Minnesota a little bit.
Last thing, less than a minute. Lakers lost last night, tied with San Antonio again for that last playoff or play-in spot. Who gets it, San Antonio or the Lakers?
I'm going to say it's San Antonio.
Wow.
I'm going to say San Antonio. I think is this going to be the first? Would this be the first year of LeBron's career? Maybe with the exception, I don't know what he did his first couple years in the league, that he is not in the playoffs. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be interesting. To look up.
I think, and we can have Brian if he can get this really quick. I think the very first year LeBron might not have made the playoffs with Cleveland that very first year, but I think every other year since then he's been in the playoffs. We'll double-check that. In the meantime, we'll say so long to you. I appreciate it. Woo, that will be historic. That is for certain. And we'll talk next Friday. We'll have the playoffs all set up.
Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend.
Thank
Talk
you.
soon.
That's our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you by the good folks at Old Dominick. So whether you're stopping in for a refreshing drink while maybe exploring Memphis or finishing up a night out in style, the bar at Old Dominick, it'll offer up carefully crafted cocktails to suit everybody's taste in a very, very elegant bar, but not stuffy. Pull up a stool at the bar and join the Old Dominick mixologist for a cocktail made entirely Beerly with Spirits, produced under the watchful eye of their great master distiller, Alex Castle. She's terrific. Whether you fancy an old-fashioned or you want to try a flight of Old Dominick products, the expert mixologists at Old Dominick are there ready to serve you. You can go to olddominick.com and check out the bar hours. There are no reservations necessary, and this is also the home of that outstanding tour. Got your answer?
You're absolutely right.
Missed the first year, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Wow. It's kind of cool, kind of historic.
Oh, yeah.
Not good for the Grizzlies, though.
No,
they need the Lakers to make the
pick.
playoffs for that pick. We thank Jason Munz. We thank Andy Schiffman. The weekend has arrived for us, but not for Johnny Radio. He's next. Stick around. Have a great weekend.
As if having one sunrise on Jefferson